Hello world, how is everyone doing? Paul Tranny here, just checking this feed right now, so cool, looks like we are good. All right, cool. What's up, Tim? How you doing, man? Good to see you. Awesome. So I'm gonna do some geometric design, which I think it's gonna be really fun. So I'm in the Adobe Studio here in San Francisco. So I'm gonna get this started here in a second. I got a lot of cool stuff to show you guys. Yeah, just a lot going on. You can take this a number of ways. I think it's actually just kind of cool what's going on. So everything can kind of be deduced into sort of like basic shapes and geometry. So that's what I'm showing off, and hopefully you guys enjoy this. And there we are. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. Yeah? Let's see if it's coming through my speakers. All right, I'm going to turn up the volume a little bit. All right, let's get this started. All right, Daniel, Oos, Abshakar, good to see you guys. Colin, good to see you guys here. Bruno, awesome. So let's kind of get this, turn up the volume a little bit. I can turn up the volume. All right, hopefully that's a little better. Does that sound a little better? Is that a little better for you guys? I hope so. Oh, trippy. Oh. All right. So, what's up, Jim? How you doing? So, we're going to get this party started, guys. I am talking specifically about geometry in design, whether it's creating logos or anything. So, hopefully this helps. Kind of have it cranked up all the way, but bring it up a little more. All right, fantastic. Let's get this started. You can see a number of logos in here, and we can start to pick these apart, you know, like how are a lot of these created and is there psychology behind it, right? I'm opening up Illustrator. There's a couple things I want to make, so making something like this, geometry in design, right? We've seen this sort of logo. We'll go ahead and take a look at the Twitter bird as well. We'll get into some more advanced things like this Metatron's cube and kind of pick that apart, like how could you make some complex geometry basically, you know, using some fundamentals of design, right? And where do these fundamentals come from? Golden ratios. That's typically what I use. Good to see you here. Good to have you here, Lopez, by the way. So this will be fantastic, right? So we can kind of take all this stuff and say, hey, you know what? Everything can kind of be divided up into these proportions, right? This 1 by 1.618, right? So we have our 1 by 1.618. I'll take this and move this over. But this basically says, you know, when you are dealing with geometry, if you need to start with, say, for instance, some rectangles or even a circle, keep in mind the proportions when you start to combine all of them together, okay? And yes, I could kind of take you guys through sort of the fundamentals of creating shapes, and I'm going to be using Illustrator mostly, right? But we could easily take, say, for instance, a rectangle and turn it into a circle really easily, right? And all I did is round the corners, okay? But how do you start combining these together, and at what ratio are they combined together, which is what gets pretty unique in my opinion. So again, what we'll do is we'll use the golden ratio in these different ratios, and we could just kind of take a look at sort of dividing this up. And I'm already kind of showing what I would actually do, but let's go ahead and kind of pick this apart a little bit. You know, taking a simple circle, by the way. So we'll take this simple circle. You know, that's going to be roughly this size, okay? And if we start to divide it up, okay, just the geometry of this, if we split it in half, you can see, as I have denoted here, by the way, is you have right in here, say for instance, A is the 61, so this is the larger side, okay? And then you have B, which is 38. So you start to see how you can start to divide this up. This is actually cutting this sort of 2/3 of the way up. Or even if you take a triangle, you know, and you divide this at that point, it's always going to be these two sizes. So if I am working on something and I'm taking these two sizes, I could literally copy that and work on it really anywhere with my shape. So let's turn off some of this stuff. Pasting this in. And my plan was to, you know, actually show you some logos that do this. I know for sure the iCloud logo is made up of circles, and they're all made up using the golden mean, and that's how you can divide it up, right? So here's two different sizes, and what it says is this size, it draws your attention and actually creates a little bit of an imbalance, if you will, but it makes it interesting when you start to divide things up this way, right? So this is what I do in here is like take this FedEx logo, copying it, and see if it falls within that, you know, that geometry, right? And I don't even know if it's going to, but we're going to find out right now. All right, I'm going to send this to the back. But these are the measurements I'm working with, guys. I'm actually going to get into creating some stuff, just so you know. But as we start to take a look, it's like almost at that golden mean ratio, that divide right there. Okay, so it's just kind of curious. In general, I want to make sure things are divided up accordingly. I'm going to dive into some additional things. I don't know if you guys know Metatron's cube. So all shapes can kind of be created from basic shapes. So I'm going to do this really fast, and I have some other examples that I can show you as well. So let's just dive into this. Let me even show you this, for instance. You know, a lot of times I could use, as I'm drawing, I could use just a regular circle, or I could use a rectangle by rounding the corners, right? I have that capability. I can also use the shaper tool. So I can come in here and use this shaper tool as I'm drawing. Oh, look, I made a circle, right? I can make a smaller circle right here, right? And I'm still using the shaper tool, but I'm going to bring this right up here. And now what I can do, still using the shaper tool, is I can scrub out. Let me just deselect it. But I'm just going to scrub over this, and then I can eliminate that circle, right? So that's what the shaper tool does right over here. Okay, so I'm making somewhat of an ellipse. You guys get it, right? Golden mean, not meme, that's funny. Right, so we can see we could do that, and we could draw a number of shapes, right? So we can jump in here and say, hey, you know what? I want to draw a, you know, a circle, a triangle, using the same tool, putting them together, all using one tool. So as you start to think about, say, maybe even someday not using the mouse, think about one tool that will do everything that you need to do. When it comes to even editing, you can jump in and start to manipulate that, okay? So using these basic shapes, even using my keyboard actually at this point, I can start to combine shapes together like that pretty easily, right? Okay, basic geometry, right? Everything is made up of basic geometry. Here's another example, still using the shaper tool. I'm going to scrub over this, right? You guys tell me what you see. Scrubbing over this. You guys could probably see it now. Here is my fish, right? Oh, let's get rid of this eye piece right here. There we go. And again, made with basic shapes. This is basic geometry, right? Boom, boom, done and done. Cool? Should you learn how to draw before? You need actually, when it comes to geometry and graphic design, you don't necessarily need to know how to draw. It's a fish. John Harmon's in the house. Good to see you, buddy. I should be using the blend tool too. Why not? But again, there's our fun fish. Pretty easy to work with. I did show you something a second ago. Even if you take the Twitter bird, oh, I already gave it away, by the way. But if you take the Twitter bird's actually made up of a bunch of circles. So a bunch of geometric circles drawn. You can see it right there. Let's actually put him in the back. You can see all these different circles that make up the Twitter bird, which is kind of interesting. So do you need to know how to draw? No, you need to know how to make circles. That's one thing you need to know how to do. Let me get into some of this other stuff, guys, because I'm just going to try to impress you with some other examples. Like, what about creating circles in a not only a flat circle, but doing a 3D look like this, right? This is actually really easy to do. If you guys want to learn how to do this, again, this is geometry. Geometry in an interesting perspective, right? So that's what I want to do, is I want to create something like this. And I haven't even completed this, but I've just been working on it. Taking a radial gradient. Okay, here's my radial gradient. Going into effect, going down to pixelate, into color halftone. That's what you want to go into. Alrighty. Anderson, muito bom. Is that Portuguese? Or am I way off? Anderson, kind of curious. Alright, so color halftone, that's what I'm going to select. Boop. Then you need to play around with this a little bit. Okay, I've already kind of played with it, and I have these numbers just right. I have a max radius of about 60 pixels per halftone. Okay, and you can offset the different channels if you want to, or you can line them all up. But quite frankly, there's just black in here, so it's not a big deal. Clicking OK. There's our pattern, right? Easy enough. This is the shape that I want. What do? I save it as a symbol, right? Just drag it in the symbol library. Bam, there it is. Halftone. There it is. Easy enough, right? Let's move on, because what else do we want to do? Haha. All right, Paul, I'm going to take that as a challenge. First of all, I love Photoshop, but your comment is nothing can beat Photoshop. I agree. Photoshop's fantastic for what it does. All right. But can Photoshop do this, Paul? That's my question for you. So here's just, this is just a line, by the way. It's just a half circle. That's all it is. I'm going to go into 3D, and I'm going to revolve this. Up. Let's revolve this baby. Preview it. Boop. I've just made a sphere. In fact, I know it's a sphere because as I move this highlight, you can see what happens. So I can turn down maybe the ambient light. You can see that it's a sphere, right? Super cool. That's easy enough. This is 3D geometry. Let's go beyond this, actually, because what I want to do is I actually want to map that art that I made to it. So all I need to do is go to Map Art, select my halftone. There's my halftone. Make it the right size. You got to add your own sound effects like I'm doing now. How you guys doing this fine Monday, huh? You guys doing well? Did you guys see the eclipse today? If you're in its path, I don't know, North America mostly, so that's kind of like what everybody's talking about right now. All right, but look, so I'm just moving this over. You can see how it changes, right? And what I can do is I could do invisible geometry, right? As I select that option, you can see it disappear. And that's how that effect is done, right? So this is geometry in design. Piece of cake, right, Miguel? You know what's up. Super easy to do. Got that done. Click OK. Boom. Got that done. What do? We can go ahead and expand appearance, right? And expand it some more. And essentially, I need to rasterize this, and then I can start to colorize it. But I'm not really going to get into colorizing, so there's more things I want to talk about. And I don't want to go for too long is my goal, right? But that's pretty quick and easy to do, right? You guys happy? I can do a zillion things with this, by the way. Like, I do this, like, stuff all the time. It's, like, so, you know, so easy. Just another example real fast. Let me just do this. Taking a pattern. Moving this over. Moving this over. I know there are other ways of doing this, but that seemed to work for me when it comes to duplicating. But I can create a pattern and sort of make a geometric vortex with this pattern as well, right? So I'm moving this over, take this, I'm just making a pattern. You guys know how this is done, right? Taking this, all this stuff. Good thing I can just duplicate this by holding down Option and Shift. Oh, I did that once, now Command D. Pop, 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 right? We got that done. Boom. Done and done. Let's make this a little smaller. There's my pattern. Dragging it into the symbols panel. Pattern, why not? Now I can do some fun stuff. Let's create a line. I like to make it gray. Sorry, I'm not looking at the chat right now because I'm trying to create something cool. I'm trying to impress you guys. 3D, revolve. You guys get it. Turning that on, we could see it right here, right? And I can flip it on the, say, the right edge, for instance, and I can rotate this, right? So essentially on the inside, that's where I want to map that new art. The inside, map that pattern, okay? Oh, it's not this side because you're actually given two surfaces. That was the outside. Here's the inside. And there it is. So I can take this and stretch it out or whatever. You guys get the idea. Zoop. Change this to none. There we are. Okay. Now I'm slowly hypnotizing you guys, right? Pretty easy to do, and then I would typically crop that. Okay, so these are just like geometric, simple squares that I turned into a fancy little vortex. Make a spiral using lines and a brush. You're talking about, John, every time I see your name, I think of the blend tool. So, yeah. Yeah. So I could. All right, let's get rid of that because, Tim, you're like, whoa, this is driving you crazy. All right, let's move on. Let's make some cool stuff, like, again, making these cool, Metatron, like, dodecahedron. A tetrahedron is actually easier to say, right? So how can we make some of these more advanced geometric shapes? Pretty easy. Honestly, what you can do and how I'm going to start out is just by turning on the grid. I'm going to try to do this as fast as possible. And it's a good thing it was cloudy out there in San Francisco because otherwise people would have gotten their eyes burned. So, hey, it is all right. All right, so let's do this. Boom. This is Metatron's cube, right? So I don't want to get all hyper spiritual on you or whatever, but, you know, we're just talking about design and stuff. I thought it'd be kind of fun. We're going to do the snap to grid. Just because this is a cool shape that you can make so many other shapes with. Right? So technically there's, I won't get into, you can extract all sorts of meaning from this cube that I'm making. But technically this is the, there we go, female. Copying it. Paste in place. Let's group this. Let's rotate it. You can just double click on the rotate tool. There's the rotate tool. Bup, bup. Right, that's what I want. I want to rotate it by 60 degrees. Okay, done. Oh, I gotta make something cool fast. Rotate it by 60 degrees again. Done, right? Now I can start to connect this stuff together. Dodecahedron. Oh, thank you, Tim. Dodecahedron. Oh, I had a hard time with that. I had a tough time with that. All right, now all we need to do is connect stuff together. So I have to make sure Snap to Point is turned on. I can start connect this stuff together, right? So just using the pen tool, really that's all we need. We can jump in, click. Oh, it's snapping. Pop. Oh, it's snapping. Oh, thank you. Making this easy on me. I find this very peaceful to do, by the way. You know, because that's all you're doing is like connecting these different dots together. One second. All right, let's cross this up a little bit more, right? Okay, so that's what I made. I start to layer this stuff on top. As soon as I do, I'm just like connecting all these different circles. That's what happens, right? So I have half of them. Actually, you know what I need to do? So I need to rotate this whole thing. I'm going to take all of this, and I want to rotate it by 30 degrees. So there we go. Boom. Rotating that by 30 degrees. Oops. And then I'm going to start to connect this a little more as well. Wait for it. Ah, must hurry. You guys want to be impressed. Triangle. Done. triangle, done. Once I start connecting everything, you'll start to see these 3D objects kind of take shape. And I'm doing these on different layers, because, yeah. I want to be able to turn these on and off. A lot of times if you're, you want these sharp lines, looks like I have this kind of popping out a little bit. I have to take a look at that, kind of see what's going on. Let's zoom out. And let's make sure this is snapping. So basically you get these fun points or not so fun points, right? That's too sharp. So what I do is come in here, go to your stroke, and then just round all of those corners. Round the corners, and you could also round the caps if you want to. And that's going to fix part of that problem, right? So it's already fixed part of that problem, but it looks like this isn't quite lined up just yet. So this is pretty typical, by the way, especially if you're an amateur like me. Because this isn't, boom. Okay, so that one was off just a hair. But that's how you can kind of make sure this is sharp. That one I was kind of winging and I did a little fast, but you might have to clean this up a little bit. All right, so let's move on. I'm going to draw some more lines, then call this a day. All right, we've gone for 20 minutes. Yeah, it's Illuminati things. Let's talk about that. This is, yeah, it's very Illuminati-ish. Yeah. My mom would be proud. Not really. She'd be like, Paul Ryan, what are you drawing? Oh, yeah. I'm going to start connecting some more of these lines and circles. So taking the center of these circles, right? What else is new, guys? You're starting to see things emerge. Right, so I'm just connecting all of these, the center of these inside circles. Pop, pop, just like that. Right, you start to see some things take shape, yeah? This is something I probably want to do in a video and just like just play it fast forward, you know, essentially. A lot of times I'll hit V, right? That just gives me the selection tool. Hit P for the pen tool, of course. We'll go over here, down into here, right? P, and I have that going across. This one's going across too. There. Anybody got stories for me? Did everybody have a wonderful weekend? I took last week off, half of last week. That's why you didn't hear from me. Right, you're starting to see the cubes. John sees the cubes. Yes, eso é bem legal. Is that Anderson? Is that Portuguese? You gotta kind of let me know, friend. Because, yeah, I'm supposed to be going to Brazil next month. So I need all the help I can get. You know what I'm saying? All right, boom, we have it. You can start to see some things emerge here, guys, right? In fact, I'll just show you a couple more things. It looks like I have that already squared away. Let me just turn on and just kind of start to show shapes that start to emerge. So here's sort of the full version, nice and light, right? And we can start to see some things happening in here. In fact, this is what I would do. You can do this a number of ways. This is just really fun. Say, for instance, what do I want to make first off? You can start to see some things emerge. Notice how I've drawn these center lines. But you can start to see basically, obviously a cube, super easy to recognize. I'm going to draw this in black just so you can see it a little bit better. Right, we see this black cube right here. So we see the top part. You guys get it. Right? You guys are all seeing that. This is really straightforward. Let's go beyond that because this is already kind of boring, right? There's the cube. Boom. let's colorize that cube, right? How would we colorize that? I want to show you how we do that with an even more complex shape, right? So you can see this cube emerge. You start to see these 3D shapes emerge, right? What about even something more complex? Oh yeah, let's do this. Are you guys ready? Yeah, it is. Oh yeah, John knows what's up. Hold on one sec, let me switch. Okay, so I did want to tell you guys, tomorrow we have a live stream starting at 9 a.m. Pacific time. Essentially, it's all about motion design. Tomorrow starting at 9 a.m. with MT MoGraph. So if you're into After Effects, I want you guys to be fully aware of that because that's going to be really awesome. We also have a couple other fantastic people. So if you go to Adobe Live, that's what's going down. And just want to make you guys aware of it. So let's get back to my screen. I was just looking at some notes. All right, let's tackle this now. Let me switch back. Hey, buddy. I'm live. This is live, my friend.
What are you showing?
Yeah, we're doing some geometry. Geometry design. Michael Shays, everybody.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
You
ready?
How do you create this symmetry?
Oh, it's a whole thing. You need to watch the live stream. If you would have tuned in on time, good thing you could always rewind, start from the beginning. You'll know how I got here. But this is the fun part, is start to get to see some things emerge, which is super cool. So this is the fun part. Let's actually do this. We're going to do this larger shape, okay? So essentially, as John Harmon said, live paint, right? I could do live paint, and I can actually jump in, and since this is, I'm just selecting everything right over here, this shape builder, off to the side, shape builder tool is what I'm going to use. So at this point, I can just kind of jump in and start to sort of see some shapes emerge. So I can take these and say, hey, you know what? Make that one solid shape, right? Let's turn off that one behind it. Just made that one solid shape. Same thing for this one, right? One solid shape, right? You can start to see this diamond develop, right? It's just kind of combining things together. You guys get the idea. Taking those together like that. And since I had snap to object and snap to grid turned on, everything kind of lines up. Sometimes you have to do some cleanup, but this is actually looking pretty good so far. So I'm digging it. And the cool thing about this is I can make a number of various shapes, which is cool. What else shall we bring together? We can see one right in here. Let's take this guy. That's another one. Here's another one. You can start to see these diamonds develop. Just like that. Even these little residual guys, you could just draw that line right over them, and that's good. I'm going to show you the final as I start to bring these together, by the way. I'm going to kind of fast forward just so you don't have to see me do this multiple times on each side. I'm going to show you essentially sort of my final version come to life. Happens to be right here. So this is sort of the final shape, right? So from here we can use live paint as well. This is John, you just mentioned this, but I could take this shape, sure enough, live paint bucket right over here, right? Zoop. And I'm going to turn on the swatches because essentially what you're going to do is you're actually toggling through all of these colors, right? So see how it's changing? I'm actually toggling through all those colors. I'm going down all these pinks. These pinks I've added. See them right here? Right, let's go to the super light pink because in the upper right, I want this to be a pretty light pink. So I can click right there. Boom, done. I want it to be a shade darker next to it. Done. Right in here, this one should be a little brighter. A little darker, a little brighter, even darker than that. I'm just using my arrow keys, by the way, just able to sort of switch to even the darkest, which is going to be right down here. You guys probably know what's up, but you know, it's like we introduce some of these tools and then you kind of forget about them. And that's why we're here. Something like that. Something like that, guys, huh? Was that pretty easy? I think it was pretty easy. Turning off those. Turning off that black. Pop. Right? Super easy. Right? See the one I made earlier? A little bit better shading right here. All from those original shapes that just look like lines and circles. That's all they were. Out of those lines and circles came a bunch of diamonds. So that's a tetrahedron. Fast forward. I have just a couple more minutes, guys. Ha 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 ha. What do you mean today? What about all other days? Not so handsome. Thank you. It's probably these headphones probably keeping my hair under control. Taking that a step further, you can see the original. Zoop, there it is. This is the. Please tell me how to pronounce this, John. Maybe you know. Icosahedron. 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 You can see it right here. Same thing. You can see that start to emerge, and then you can see the coloring as well. It's a bit from Tron. Right? So, again, super easy and just really fun to play with, because as you develop this initial shape, you could start to see all sorts of things come to life. So check this out. Like, here's the... I've already kind of covered the star, and I think the icosahedron gets maybe a little bit more complex, but you just fill it in using live paint. All right. Cool. Yeah, buddy. That's all I have for you. I'm probably forgetting something, because I feel like there's a lot I typically do forget, because there's just a lot going on, and I'm kind of thinking through some stuff. But this is what I thought of when I thought of sort of like geometry and design, is a lot of this stuff. And I wanted to sort of keep the look flat, but, bring it to life just by using some simple shading. And I'd say this is like the coolest shape. So, anyways, super fun, right, guys? Super fun. Let me even, kind of recap as well. You guys can watch any of this stuff. This is was a vortex that we worked on. We eventually made this shape, and I can start to break this apart, because typically what I'd do here is I'd break this apart and maybe just do some transitions of colors in here, right? And this doesn't even have to be circles, because it reminds me of AT&T, but are they squares, or are they something else? But that's literally using a 3D object and then breaking it apart. Using this Metatron's cube is literally just doing everything line by line, and you can get some really interesting shapes. And of course, using the good old, right over here, shape builder tool and live paint bucket to paint. Yeah, I know, words are hard, right? And again, just kind of started with the golden mean, and then there's our happy little fish that we made, still using the shaper tool. Oh, by the way, I'm going to finish with this one last thing, guys, for you really fast. Just because I kind of been getting into this, and I just want to give them a shout out. If you are dealing with geometry, I could go in here and I can select the star. I could use a sort of a polygon or anything. But what I can do is I can do a number of things. If I click once, I can change sort of the number of points. And hopefully you guys realize that. But I'm just change this down to like 3. Okay? There, of course, it's going to give me a triangle. But I'm going to go beyond this really fast because I think this is really cool. I just installed it the other day. Astute Graphics has something called Mirror Me. Okay? So I've been using Mirror Me just for fun. It's also right over here, defined by this butterfly. I already have it installed. If I click, I can draw a line. So I can draw a line right here if I want to. Right? And this is the panel that pops up. So I can see right here, number of axis, 1. What about 2? What about 3? What about 4? Now when I position this here, you could start to see these cool like diamonds and different things develop, all from Mirror Me. You can see these interesting shapes that kind of come about just by using Mirror Me. I thought it was kind of fun. I could use this a number of ways. In fact, I could use this a number of times. If I take this down, we'll do 4 will apply that selection, right? So there it is. I have applied Mirror Me once. I can apply Mirror Me again, twice, apply to selection. I can keep on applying it to get something either really cool or really ugly, depending on if you like Southwest style, right? Done and done, Mirror Me. Yeah, let's do graphics. I think, thanks guys. Oh, you do some blend line portraits. You use Mirror Me for that. So anyways, I think it's really cool. Like I love Mirror Me because it's just nice. I mean, this is so easy to work with. You know, if you find yourself sort of doing any sort of step and repeat a lot, or just think there has to be an easier way, and a lot of times there is with something like Mirror Me. But that's all I have for you guys. I'm gonna let you go. And by the way, all this stuff works just fine, right? It's a compound path, but essentially, you know, these are all individual shapes that I could work with as I dive into this. Like, look. So look, I can round these corners. So you could see it doesn't change my workflow typically when it comes to design. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Don't forget about the live stream tomorrow, by the way. We're going to be here with MT MoGraph. In fact, I'm going to open up my browser and show you Adobe Live. Come here tomorrow, guys. It's going to be myself. Jason Levine hosting as well. Michael Shays will be in the house. But MT MoGraph, DW Watterson. And you should be able to see the schedule in here somewhere. But just go right here tomorrow, and would love to see you. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be like applying motion to things, and I know MT MoGraph's going to be giving away a file to begin with, and you'll do some fun things with it, I'm sure. So thank her and John and Oos and Anderson and everyone. Have a wonderful day. I'm going to let you guys go. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the eclipse today. I hardly saw it because I was on a plane. We'll catch you guys later. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see ya.